Something else that maybe people don't quite realize about you, although I know this got a lot of conversation last season because it was the anniversary, the famous Jerome Lane play at Pitt. You fed him the pass.
That's known as the pass in my house. And I feel like I've said that 100 times, but it keeps me alive. And like you said, anytime one of my players says, "Oh, Coach, did you really play?" I don't have to say anything because that clip tells them everything that they need. You know,
they probably know about that dunk,
they
right?
Respect it. And it's on every year. Inevitably, when Pitt plays Providence or the anniversary of or how many years it's been, it's shown every year. And what you forget about the dunk is how different it was then to play on TV because there wasn't nearly the selection of channels. It was a big Monday game, I believe. Big East had the market cornered for some time. So when that happened truly in front of the nation.
So what to the degree that you can relax, what goes through your mind at that moment?
It happened fast. You know, it was a 3-on-1. You know, I think as a point guard, you say, which one of these two guys is the better finisher? And Jerome obviously won that. And it was the perfect, timing was perfect, you know. And I think Carlton Screen took the charge on him, which I think to this day he probably hasn't lived down. If I get credit for the pass and Jerome gets credit for the dunk, I'm not sure what he gets credit for, you know, taking the charge.
He was called, was the charge called on the play?
It was an and-one, 3-point play.
Oh, okay.
So after about an hour of the delay, Jerome started it off with shooting a free throw. You know, that's how the game returned. So it was amazing. And Jeff Van Gundy was an assistant. Herb Sendek was an assistant. You know,
is that right?
Looking back on that game, it was just surreal.
I think that luck is an important part of life and basketball. And I don't know of a recent example of a guy getting luckier than you got with Derrick Williams. I mean, here's a guy who was supposed to go to USC. You'd never seen him play. You just got the job at Arizona in the spring at a time of year when it's hard to get players, impossible to get players anyway. Tim Floyd leaves USC. A couple of players become available. They come to Arizona. He was kind of the afterthought of this group. And 2 years later, he's the number 2 pick in the draft. I mean, how lucky did you get in that situation?
Every coach, when he takes over a program like Arizona, needs that one thing to get him going. I think if you look at Coach Olson's tenure, think about how remarkable this is. Arguably the greatest player in the University of Arizona history, and there have been quite a few. Certainly the most productive, a 4-year player, Sean Elliott, is from Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, Arizona. Hotbed of talent.
And so, you know, with Derrick, no question. Only difference is we only had him for 2 years. I certainly wish we had him longer, but it's amazing. Great talent, fantastic mom. Never had one foot out the door until it was time. Embraced all the things you want a great kid and great player to embrace: team, hard work, listen. And it was a lesson for me because as much as good fortune, there was a little bit of great talent and great attitude coming together. And when you're not in a rush and you're about the right things and you are ultra talented, it's just funny how it naturally works itself out.
You met your wife when you were still in high school, right? You don't hear those stories too often. The high school sweetheart who stays all the way through. What was the connection there at such a young age?
You know, 10th or 11th grade, I think we started to date, and she went to Pitt. We both graduated from the University of Pittsburgh. And
so she knew what she was getting into with this coaching thing.
No question. I tell you what, she has seen someone who doesn't love basketball. I would call her lukewarm.
Oh, is that right?
She has seen probably more games than any 44-year-old female in the nation. But she's a trooper. You know, as a college basketball coach, you're just not home a lot. No matter how much you want to be. We're recruiting this one kid, and one of the things that we're using to our advantage is I think I've seen the kid play maybe 70 to 75 times over a 2 or 3 year period. High school, spring, summer, fall. And my wife said to me, like, God, I don't think you've seen our kids played like 20 times in that same amount of time. But it's a give and take relationship. And I think for every college basketball coach, football coach, you know, you have to have that rock at home. And she's really been that.
The old high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
The old high school sweetheart. I was interested to hear Jim Boeheim, I think towards the end of last season, it may have been during the NCAA tournament, where somebody asked, he has a son who's in high school and is interested in basketball, and somebody asked him, would you encourage your son to become a college basketball coach? And he said no. And it wasn't because of this. This is great, what goes on in here. It was all the other stuff, the business, the recruiting. If your sons started heading down that path to be a college basketball coach, would you want that for them?
I want them to follow their passion. They certainly know college basketball because they've grown up watching their dad. It's always, like you had mentioned at the beginning of this interview, it's an advantage for you. You generally have a head start in some aspect because of what your family did or does or where you grow up. So I think they have a head start, so to speak, with it. But I would also say that there is a side that would want to discourage it. I was going through it today in my mind. This is my 5th year at Arizona. I've not coached one game in my 5th year. And I think I'm right about this. There's 24 football and basketball coaches in the Pac-12, obviously. I think there's been 15 changes in 4 years between football and basketball. And by the time we get to next year, hopefully I won't be one of them. I mean, that number might be 17 or 18. Think about that. That's astonishing. That's 4 years. Where it's gone and how it's changed, it certainly has. So,
and where it would be by the time your sons get there.
I think some of it is, you kind of use some of the knowledge and the competitiveness and the education to go into something else. So I think we try as a family, my wife and I, to show them some other things. But wherever their passion is, that's where they're going to go. So we'll follow them.
Well, passion is a great word, Sean. And the one thing that I've always admired about you is the passion that you show for every aspect of this job. So I appreciate you bringing that passion to the Seth Davis Show. I appreciate that you're older than me and that you're always going to be older than me. And I can't wait to watch your team play this season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Welcome to the West Coast, Seth.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.